Okay, sir. நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க சார்.
Okay, sir. Okay. So, a very good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome for this third session of today's program, SCTP. So, we are happy to have Dr. Katakam Sivaprasad, sir, to address this session in our midst. So, on behalf of Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sairam Institute of Technology, hearty welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. K. Thank you, sir. Dr. K. Sivaprasad sir has completed his AM/IIM from the Indian Institution of Metals, Calcutta, in the year 1999. He holds Masters in Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, Chennai. He did his doctorate on microstructure and mechanical properties of gas tungsten arc and electron beam welded alloy from IIT Madras. He holds wide academic experience of 12 years in NIT Trichy. He has experience as visiting scientist in University of North Texas, Denton, USA, and as a visiting fellow in IIT Madras and National Institute for Material Science, NIMS, Japan. He has guided 6 PhD scholars and 1 MS scholar so far, and presently guiding 7 more PhD scholars and 1 MS scholar by research. He has 70 plus international research publications, 50 plus conference publication, has contributed to a book chapter. He has headed in several academic and administrative positions and have organized national, international level seminar, workshops, and conferences. He is the reviewer of numerous internationally acclaimed journals in the field of metallurgy and material science. So he has worked in projects funded by central government organizations like ISRO, DRDO, DST, NRB, and UGC. The total project we carried out work about 148 lakhs. The total project he has carried about worth rupees 148 lakhs. And we are happy and privileged to have you, sir. So, sir, kindly please take over the session, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's very difficult to come back to any session after a good lunch. That too in this pandemic situation. That too coming online. I do agree. So, but I'll try to see. Fortunately or unfortunately, most of the occasions for the past 10 years, I've been teaching mostly afternoon sessions. So I have I know how to handle the people in post lunch. So to the possible extent, I will keep you awake. I will not allow you to sleep to the possible extent, I believe. When Professor Shanmugh Sundaram contacted me that, sir, you have given some metal intermetallic laminates topic, and probably we can have the same session because people are interested. Oh, but see, at least if one person is there among them, he will feel bored out of that one. So I don't want to have that. So I just chosen our group recent topic, which recently one of my PhD students submitted his thesis. That is on additive manufacturing of high entropy alloys. Fact is, high entropy alloys, yes, relatively new, but still some good amount of work is done. Then additive manufacturing, yes, people are venturing into this field, just like that. Many of the people, we can see extensive work is going on around us. Normally, I will not take up any particular work which is already being done by many of the groups. So I decided myself, I have suggested my student that you have to pick a topic which is not touched so far. So he said that, sir, high entropy alloys, I'm interested. Okay, fine, good. Then additive manufacturing, he said he is interested, fine, good. Then additive manufacturing of high entropy alloys. I said that is also not new. Few people have already started. Okay. So high entropy alloys additive manufacturing, I said that is also not new because in abroad people started working on that. Then we both decided that let it be on joining of high entropy alloys and comparing that one with additive manufacturing, because which is not ventured by anyone else so far. So he has done for the past 3 years. He has completed exactly within 3 years, three and a half years. In fact, he was based on his work and based on his first publication, he got a prestigious Dora plus fellowship from Europe to work in Estonia. He was there for almost 6 months. Then under my Spark project, he visited there again another 1 year. So yeah, he spent good amount of time there because we don't have any additive manufacturing facility. So in Europe, he has done entire additive manufacturing, and welding and other characterization he has done here. So the work which I'm going to present now is exclusive, is PhD work. His name is Mr. Sokalingam. Recently has submitted. To his credit, he got more than 10 papers out of this and one book chapter in prestigious Wiley publications. Uh, Surprising thing is it's a core welding, core metallurgy related work, and he is BE mechanical, ME design. Okay, he was not having any, at least decent exposure. He's not having in metallurgy, but he was so strong and keen that he picked up in a short duration. You can see what kind of work he has done. I'm just sharing the screen. Hope you people are able to see my PPT.
Yeah, yes, sir. Welding and additive manufacturing of dissimilar systems.
Yeah, so the concept what I'm going to project here is welding and additive manufacturing of dissimilar systems with one system as high entropy aligned. So it was not done by, so far we didn't see any publication 3 years back, but within 3 years we could see good number of people started working on that one, and we are proud to say that our paper is the first paper in this area, and our chapter is the first book review chapter in this area across the world. Before entering into that novelty or strategy associated with that one or niche associated with the work, first of all, we should know why we have to go for a dissimilar joining. So, if you take any petrochemical industry, gas turbine industry, and many even connecting shafts, automobile industry, even aluminum to steel, dissimilar joints are there. Many of the occasions, dissimilar joints become very, very common in strategic industries and even conventional structural industries also. Mainly aerospace industry, automobile industry, nuclear industry, where you will find n number of dissimilar systems. Okay, dissimilar systems, what is the common problem? Mechanically, design-wise, or any other point of view, there may not be any problem. But metallurgically, yes, very, very difficult systems are there. Those who have decent metallurgy uh, knowledge on systems, they will feel that no, it is very difficult. By seeing that one, they will say that no, the system you cannot join it, because some favorable systems they will start forming intermetallic phases. That means the moment you take two plates and join together with a joint, at the joint interface, strong brittle intermetallics will form in an interconnected way. The moment you started joining, backside crack will propagate. So that may happen mostly in fusion zone or HHZ or even fusion line boundary cracking. Many things are possible. Some systems such as aluminum to steel, then aluminum to titanium, some steel to titanium, nickel to aluminum, nickel to titanium. These systems are very, very difficult to join. Among them, nickel titanium is to some extent okay weldable, but all other systems directly if you put the plate together and join it, crack just like that it will follow. So dissimilar joining is not a joke, and it is not so easy that what we are thinking similar in a similar system, similar joining system. Mostly joining or welding in the sense the moment you say welding, we will think about arc welding, mainly TIG welding, very, very popular and become very common nowadays. Maybe a decade back or 2 decades back, manual metal arc welding was the very common one. But nowadays, TIG welding and automated TIG welding or MIG welding become so common and popular. Apart from that, so much evolution has taken place for the past 2 decades. That, n number of welding systems have come up, and high energy density welding process in the arc welding process or fusion welding process, if you see, such as plasma welding, electron beam welding, laser welding, or within a short volume where you want to melt within that short volume, they will pump huge amount of energy. That is the reason it's called high energy density process. So the dissimilar joints become very common in most of the structural industry, but when you want to adopt a particular geometry with a combination of materials for dissimilar joining, we should have ample knowledge on the metallurgy or welding metallurgy behind that. So we want to take such a combination where it is something strange and many people are trying a lot. The gas turbine industry, if you see the turbine blades, you can see this right side one. Hope you are able to see my cursor. The turbine blade with the disc, which is called nowadays a combined version, BLISK, blade and disc together called BLISK. This is, earlier it used to be a dovetail joint, and here and there some TIG welded joints will be there in earlier case. But nowadays it's a complete BLISK. But whenever it is worked for some good amount of period, it demands the repair weldability. Shape, repair weldability. The shape and contour, everything should be studied. Then when you want to do this repair weldability, sometimes matching filler or some inferior filler people used to use. And the moment you are using any welding, you know that even mechanical engineers very well aware that welding is nothing but localized casting, and you will never get the strength equivalent to base metal. It is very, very difficult. Most of the occasion, in a very idealistic case of TIG welding, it will be very difficult to get 60% of efficiency from a TIG weld from that of, compared to that of the parent metal. So it's not that just doing joining alone. The joint efficiency, joint strength, joint metallurgical properties, grind structure, phase structures, all these things one has to be very, very cautious in that. So one such attempt is made by my student, Mr. Soklingam. He himself made this workflow. So I suggested them, you have to take 2 welding process and at least 1 or 2 additive manufacturing. So we could not find 2 varieties of additive manufacturing because we got a chance to work with selective laser melting, which is a powder bed fusion technique. Then we have readily available with us GTA welding with our lab, and we have good contacts with eminent people who are working in laser beam welding and electron beam welding in different sectors. So we took their help to get it done. So he has taken aluminum 0.5 cobalt chromium iron nickel high entropy alloy, then aluminum 0.1 cobalt chromium iron nickel HEA. The difference between the aluminum content only, aluminum half of the fraction, here it is only 10% of the total fraction. First of all, HEA is nothing but high configuration entropy alloy. To explain in a layman condition, we will say that aluminum copper alloy, say aluminum 96%, 4% copper. Then you will say aluminum based.
So this is some other forging operations. என்னன்னா இதுல வந்து நிறைய சொல்லணும்னா forging operations.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Sir, okay, sir. I muted the participant. No issue.
Oh, okay. I thought some other session is going on parallelly.
Well, I think the participants are taking a class for some other students. I think so.
Okay. They have made virtual attendance. That's it. Okay. Good. Fine. Now, if you see this, the conceptual anomaly associated with this one, high entropy alloy is nothing but high configuration entropy alloy system. Which is nothing but, if you say in conventional alloys, aluminum based alloy, that means aluminum 95%, 5% copper, aluminum copper alloy, like that we'll say. Steel, it is basically iron based system with carbon and other alloying elements in that term. But whereas in high entropy alloys, there is nothing like that. If you are taking 5 elements, all 5 equal fractions, say 28%, 20 atomic percent, 20 atomic percent, 20, 20, 20, all 5 will be equal. So if you say here, if it is aluminum not 0.1, if it is aluminum full, aluminum, cobalt, chromium, iron, nickel, total 5 elements, each will be 20 atomic percent. Please understand, it is atomic percent only. So each will be equivalent fraction. So you cannot say this is chromium based alloy or aluminum based alloy or nickel based alloy or so and so. It is high entropy alloy with so and so elemental system. That's it. People will say this is the just basic understanding of what is high entropy alloy. And what way they are different from other alloy systems is, other alloys some base system will be there, whereas here all are equal fractions. Preferably, or most of the occasions, all are equal fraction or near equal fractions. So here similar near equal fractions were taken. Aluminum, cobalt, chromium, iron, nickel, initially one of the other MTech student worked out. But aluminum full, if you are adding, it will become BCC. BCC are relatively brittle, and we felt that it is less weldable. Then aluminum fraction, the moment we started reducing. For aluminum, okay, shall we continue? Okay, hope there may not be any other disturbances. So aluminum 0.1 is a single phase FCC, which is similar to austenitic stainless steel or Inconel 718 equivalent. Aluminum 0.5 is say some amount of BCC, some amount of HCP fraction. So initially we have studied a similar system on this one. Then we felt that weldability is there, but it is somewhat difficult when especially going for dissimilar welding system. Then we moved to aluminum 0.1, which is single phase FCC, relatively highly ductile, much high work hardening ability than 304 and Inconel 718. Why we have taken this combination is all are FCC, FCC, FCC. It is supposed to be weldable according to mechanical engineering concept, but according to metallurgical concept, there will be a huge allying system. When you are welding, they will melt down and diffuse inside, and there is a possibility, hell lot of probability that they will form undesirable phases and brittle phases. So there is a huge problem associated with joining of 304 and Inconel 718. Even though now system is somewhat stabilized with respect to weldability, some still law-based phase, other metallurgical and undesirable phase formation, thereby property reduction is there. So we have chosen these three systems for that reason. And popular GTAW, that is TIG welding, and laser and electron beam welding combinations we have used. And the same system we could not do it in SLM in Europe because aluminum they are restricting there in their system. So without aluminum, we have substituted with manganese and we have started working on this one. We made sure that if it is a single phase FCC, this is a single phase FCC. This is giving a particular strength and ductility combination. This is also giving almost similar strength and ductility combination. So we have chosen the system in such a way that it is comparable. Then here also austenitic stainless steel, again problem there, that 316L and 304. We have taken again similar strength, ductility combinations are comparable work hardening behavior especially, and comparable work weldability. So then he started working on TIG welding and laser beam welding. And the other side, he started working on fusion bed melting, such as selective laser melting, using laser which used to be melted. Then on all these welds and additive manufacturing components,
You were tapping my homegirl.
he has done extensive microstructural evaluation, then followed by microtexture analysis, because I am basically a metallurgist, so I want always microstructure, what is inside the microstructure, what is there inside the grain, what are the precipitates, this kind of interest is there for me, so we have gone for detailed characterization associated with that one. Then regular micro hardness profile, tensile properties, and other correlation techniques for that required questions. Then we have taken that dissimilar welding, we have done EBW with respect to 0.1 with 304 stainless steel and 0.1 with Inconel 718 using electron beam welding, which it is designated as E. 0.1 stands for AC1, 0.5 stands for AC5, like that it is designated AC2. Then TW stands for TIG welding, LW stands for laser welding. Okay. Then AC2 is TIG welding combination. T stands for TIG here, 304 stainless steel, and Inconel 718. And Inconel 718 we have prepared in a particular method where it is basically welding will be started, such as solutionizing treatment. So prior to that, how we have prepared high entropy alloy, we have prepared up our own, we did not procure. We have taken high pure systems, aluminum, cobalt, chromium, iron, nickel, pellets or chips, metal pieces were taken. Is everywhere 99.95% minimum purity. All these things were vacuum arc melted. Can someone mute others? Shanmugh Sundaram sir. Prabhudas or Shanmugh Sundaram sir, can you mute others? Some noise is coming background. Sir?
Hello.
Shanmugasundaram, sir?
Hello. Is it audible, sir?
Yeah, it is audible, but so much noise is coming in background.
Okay. I mute once again, sir. I mute all the participants.
You mute all and just unmute me alone.
Okay. Okay, sir. Now it is okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Sorry. Thank you. So we have taken this elemental systems. Arc melting, normally powders we cannot do it. So metal chips or machined chips like that we have taken small cut pieces, whichever is available in particular form. Then all these things were done vacuum arc melting. It is nothing but melting was done in vacuum, relatively high vacuum. Then we got a pellet, small, big size button kind of thing, like a pant button kind of thing. That much only you can get in a conventional laboratory scale vacuum arc melting. And he used to make some 3-4 and he used to remelt it, and then he used to go to blacksmith, my student. Blacksmith in a crude way we cannot do, so we have to add scientific touch there. So blacksmith used to do blacksmithy, and he has taken argon cylinder there and he used to purge surrounding that, because otherwise some elements are having tendency to get oxidized, such as chromium and iron, even aluminum. So we don't want elements to get oxidized during hot forging and this one, so he used to do that. So somehow he is able to make into small strips kind of things of your 2 fingers or 3 fingers width size. Then it is rolled down to all equivalent to 2.5 millimeters thickness. Then full annealing was done. Then this homogenization followed by full annealing. One more time it is done. Finally, when we have seen microstructure, it is a equiaxial grind structure, and XRD shows that single phase this one. Joint configuration at this stage, I just want to explain you that this is assume a dissimilar joint, A side and B side, and joint is at the center. All the samples were extracted in transverse direction, and all our samples, because I know that I told you that HA used to be our 2 fingers size width, and when you are making joint like this, out of this, your total width in this direction used to be less. We used to get totally itself some 40 to 45 maximum width after joint. So we have gone for miniature tensile specimen. Our tensile specimen dimension itself is, total length itself is 2 centimeter. You can see the dimensions here. These dimensions we have extracted. We have made separate fixtures and jigs for that one. We have made some extensive work to enable our geometries to suit that. Then first we have started with similar welding with aluminum 0.5, gas junction arc welding and laser beam welding were performed. Gas junction arc welding has clearly shown a typical arc welding geometry fusion welding. Any FCC structure fusion zone will be like this. If you take austenitic stainless steel, if you take nickel based copper alloy, if you take even this high entropy alloy, all were appears to be like a similar cellular kind of dendritic structure. Partly cellular, partly dendritic kind of structure was observed. And when we have seen this base metal and TIG weld, base metal, some traces of other BCC phase was there, because aluminum 0.5 this is, in aluminum 0.5 BCC significant phase was there. But when we have done TIG welding, similar welding, we are surprised to note that in the fusion zone, the BCC phase was dissolved. We got a single phase FCC. In fact, FCC single phase is advantage for mechanical point of view. Then after seeing XRD itself, we felt that our weld is supposed to give good property. So as I told, I am being a metallurgist, I want to see even elemental level, what way they distributed and other things. Because I have taken so many elements and made high entropy alloys at the joint, how the geometry will be. So we can clearly say that there are some aluminum rich systems and the remaining all other element systems at one location. Grain boundaries are becoming relatively rich in aluminum. Okay, and most of the occasions this boundary used to be BCC phase. That's what we have studied and observed. When we have tested that one, to our surprise, normally fusion zone is supposed to give 50% of its efficiency. That's what we felt. But we got 85% of efficiency because we got fusion zone single phase FCC. Normally it is very difficult to get almost a welded joint which is close to 60% ductility is highly abnormal. Base metal you can get very comfortably 70% for these systems. either high entropy alloy or austenitic stainless steel or even nickel based superalloys. These are all called low stacking fault energy single phase FCC systems. So these systems are supposed to exhibit very high strength and high ductility combinations. But fusion zones used to be somewhat disruptive in nature, but to our surprise, in this system, we got 85% of joint efficiency, which is uncommon. So this was published in Metallurgical Materials Transactions here. That was his first paper. And there is no huge dip in the fusion zone, almost like a gradual variation. And this also helped to get good amount of ductility and postponing the necking. You can see even elongations of the order of compared to 67 in base metal, TIG weld got 56, which is very, very, very good in comparison. Okay. Summary, as I have explained everything, I have no need to summarize one more time. Then the same similar welding, it was done using laser beam welding, high entropy laser beam welding, which is so far no one has attempted till that period. So we have decided we will have it. So this microstructure analysis at different regions of the welded joint, when we have seen, here also similar kind of version we have observed. Normally TIG welding to electron beam welding, good amount of deviations should be there. But here we got almost similar structure, only relative fineness we have observed. Microstructural features are almost same, but it is relatively finer. That's what we have observed. And here also similar to that previous case, the BCC phase was completely dissolved, almost dissolved in laser welding, which is expected because here melting is faster and cooling rates are also very, very high. So it is expected that BCC phase could not have been evolved. Again, similar to that, elemental mapping, what is the intensity of individual elements? Here also aluminum rich system got developed along this grain boundaries. Had it been not forming along this BCC phase along grain boundaries, this system even could meet even close to 100% efficiency. It is stopped at 85% efficiency in TIG welding, and even almost same thing with respect to GTA welding, laser welding. Aluminum rich phase at grain boundary is the lapina. If you are able to this not to form this aluminum rich phase at grain boundary, it is expected to give even 100% efficiency of the joint. Here also almost properties are extremely good, we have seen. Then we have gone, this laser welding work we have taken to a prestigious ICEM international conference on advanced engineering materials and systems, which was held in Japan, Osaka, which we have projected this, and there we got best paper award for this work because laser welding of high entropy like first time by the time. And they have suggested, one professor from Japan, from Tokyo University, he suggested that why don't you go for corrosion studies? That makes much difference like that. So yes, fine, okay, we have decided and we have seen that corrosion properties also significantly superior, almost comparable to that of base metal. Okay, normally which is uncommon for high entropy alloys. Whereas high entropy alloy weld, it is shown very, very good. So this is just a brief about similar welding of 0.5 aluminum 0.5 high entropy alloy system. In both the cases, 85 and above weld joint efficiency was observed, which is really uncommon in conventional systems, whereas this could have been possible only because of the formation of single phase FCC structure. So that is the reason I strongly believe that those who are working in welding, I suggest fairly develop your metallurgy skills so that will help you in interpreting your results in a more accurate way and precise way. Coming to dissimilar welding, thereafter I want to show you some of color images. And this color image, as you know that by seeing itself, you can say it's a microstructure. But this image was taken based on orientation relationship. It is attachment to any SEM, scanning electron microscope. This technique is called orientation imaging microscopy. That attachment name is EBSD, electron backscatter diffraction technique. So this each and every color is nothing but the particular grain orientation, how the crystal is oriented, how the crystal has grown. That's what the color coding represents. But in this case, what we have taken, for example, either AC1 Li or AC2 Li, or 304 stainless steel or Inconel 718. AC1Li, if you say that huge massive grain boundaries and parallel lines you can see, which is twin structure, whereas relatively fine grain structure in the AC2, and again parallel lines in this one. The parallel lines associated with the system like this and like this, these are all called twins. Okay, the twinning is very common in this low stacking fault energy material. All three what we have chosen are low stacking fault energy systems. That is another reason we have chosen these three systems. AC2 high entropy alloy, 304 stainless steel, and Inconel 718. All these cases you can see the twinning band. Only thing, because of their conventional treatments that were given, which are suggested in the literature to give for before any welding, so we have given that one, and we have followed this welding process. So TIG welding and other people have done MIG welding by the time for other dissimilar systems. We felt that why can't we take this same system for our dissimilar joining with high entropy alloy. So we have taken GTA with these parameters, high energy beam, high density welding, high energy density welding process such as electron beam welding we have chosen. So you can see that power density is of the order of 10 power 6 watts per square millimeter, and the TIG welding and whatever they have suggested similar to that of MIG welding we have taken, which is power rating equivalent to 10 power 4 watts per square millimeter. So we have taken that AC2 to 304 stainless steel and AC1 to 304 stainless steel. One is tungsten, the other one is electron beam. The wine glass fusion joint structure, wine glass shaped fusion joint structure is for electron beam welding. Sorry, this is AC2E 304 stainless steel with the same thickness. Please understand the thickness are same. We have seen a very wider 3.8 millimeter fusion joint in TIG welding, and whereas 1.98 millimeter, 996 millimeters wide fusion joint in the case of electron beam weld. And when we have done the same thing with Inconel 718, slightly larger because system demanded for more fusion penetration, we have slightly increased the current associated with that one, so thereby it is slightly increased. So when we have started characterizing that one, in steel side, we have started observing martensite. Okay, so the martensite formation close to fusion zone is normally very common in the systems. That's called recrystallized martensite or resolidified martensite. Faster cooling rates associated with the system. And the cellular structure, which is observed to that of similar welding system, here also cellular structure was observed. So this again evidences that we are supposed to get decent properties. Then at the fusion zone also we decided to go for textured based or orientation based microstructure analysis, and to our surprise we have seen that there is a type 2 boundary systems which are evolved here. Type 2 systems will be with butter layer, normally it will evolve, whereas in this case being extreme wide variation chemistry associated with the system has started evolving type 2 boundaries. And HEA side we have seen a epitaxial kind of growth, the almost matching boundary sizes growth with the orientation matching from both HHZ side as well as fusion zone side. So that's called epitaxially grown crystals. You can see epitaxially grown crystals, and see almost same magnification was taken. On the left side you can see very fine dendritic structure, whereas on the right side, steel side, we have seen a very coarse dendritic structure. The coarse dendritic structure very common wherever type 2 boundaries will form. Type 2 boundaries will, some systems it is essential so as to grow a wider dendrites so that the system will have softer structure. So it will not be brittle, embrittled or hardened for that purpose. There is a typical growth structure, how it will be, it is explained. Normally in casting it is very clearly explained. Here also it is nothing but a localized casting, so you can see a decent similar microstructures to that of a cast material you can see. And this is a schematic associated with what we got it, dissimilar side. The steel side, we got type 2 boundaries which are similar to this. Thereby, the coarser dendrites are formed. On the left side, it is like a epiaxially grown structure. So, matching grain size and this matching dendrite size was observed epiaxially grown structures. So, this is clearly evidenced why this differentiation observed. But to our surprise, in fact, this has favored us. Otherwise, if had it been a similar kind of structure, the gradual property variation from this to this could not have been happened. There will be an abrupt property variation from one end to other end if you are going through hardness survey also, which is very common in dissimilar welding. But that kind of thing we did not see in this system because of the type 2 boundaries formation on steel side. Then again, I told I'm a metallurgist. I'm very keen on seeing that whether any undesirable phases are going to form or not. So which were evaluated through calculation of phase diagram software. It's a atomistic simulation software and phase diagram software. So we have confirmed that there are no undesirable phases forming and single phase FCC structure only being stabilized even in fusion welding. So that we can see that what is the major axis, minor axis deviations, bottom portion how much, top portion how much, like that we have given all details associated with that one. This clearly explains that there is no abrupt change values, there is a gradual variation. And similarly, elemental analysis also we have done. Here also if you see that all the elementals are not abruptly changed, gradual change only it is there. And nickel in fusion zone also, both the fusion zone sides, HA side as well as stainless steel side, good amount of nickel is there. So the good amount of nickel favored the structural integrity associated with this joint. The line map we have seen that near fusion zone except one location, almost it is a gradual variation, very decent and gradual variation which we have observed. This also evidences that as there is no major chemistry variation from region 1 to region 2, there will not be any stress concentration, metallurgical stress concentration will not be there in these systems. So thereby we are expecting uniform deformation, good strength and ductility combinations from the fusion zone. Here also we are expecting at least decent weld efficiency, not like a conventional weld systems that even similar welding of aluminum alloys you will get 50 to 70% weld efficiency, whereas dissimilar systems most of the occasions it is less than 50% weld efficiency. So we felt that based on this study background, we felt that we are supposed to get decent weld efficiency. So when we have tested that, yes, we got a decent weld efficiency. This is one particular system. This is the second system. Normally with second system only people will compare to project the efficiency. It is almost comparable to that of them. This is almost like 45% and this is almost like 33, 36% ductility was observed in this case. So it is highly comparable and we can see very good ductility was observed. That means it is cushioning. Whatever may be the loading condition, it is cushioning. And to say that our HAZs are not so weak, failures were happened in weld zone only, weld nugget only. And all the fractographs are evidencing that almost like dimpled structure, which indicates a ductile failure. So even weld joint is able to exhibit good amount of ductility in the system. Then electron beam welding of these systems when we started doing. Earlier one TIG welding, now this is electron beam welding. The electron beam welding when we have done here also you can see that high entropy alloy side epiaxial growth orientation relation one can clearly see here. Here you can see more precisely orientation relation, whereas such orientation relation is not followed here. Further, the system was so fine that we could not even trace out whether type 2 boundaries are formed here or not. So that is the beauty associated with the system. The type 2 boundaries are not formed. It is because what to say this faster cooling rates associated with this electron beam. And again, we want to see what is the associated interference with this system is. We have calculated, taken Schaeffler diagram and pseudo-binary diagram of the systems and chromium equivalent we have taken, and we found that our system is falling with austenitic structure only. This is the location where my aluminum point 1 is falling, and even weld metal at the top and bottom also falling well within single phase FCC structure. Okay, single phase FCC. Whereas unmixed zone, one line was formed very close to fusion zone, and there small amount of BCC phase possibility was observed, and even our aluminum 304 whatever we have taken is also not fully annealed condition. So that is also a small fraction of BCC was observed. So that's what the Schaeffler diagram clearly indicates, superimposed Schaeffler diagram with chromium equal. Again, here also we have done calculation of phase diagrams, and we confirmed that similar to that of TIG welding, here also it is forming only single phase FCC structure. Yeah, here if you see, we are surprised to see that the dissimilar weld DW is started exhibiting higher strength than the HCA, which is uncommon. The DW's performance is exclusively because of the again formation of single phase structure and relatively core structure on HCA side, that is epitaxially grown structure. So all these combinations has helped the material to exhibit relatively higher strength. And it could not exhibit higher ductility, but still decent ductility. It's not decent, very high ductility actually, 50% ductility. And it could not project 80% or 90% ductility because I told you that unmixed zone formation at the fusion boundary, and in that location only it has formed. That unmixed zone where small amount of BCC has formed, there only it has failed. So that is the reason that failure is because of that undesirable phase formed. Had it been that unmixed zone, undesirable BCC phase could not have been formed there, there also single phase FCC formed. Probably we could have got our curve still much higher side like this. Okay. And this, with respect to steel and high entropy alloy, we have seen. Now, Inconel 718 and high entropy alloy. Okay, because this is another complex system. Inconel 718 is a very complex metallurgy system. It's a typical best engineered alloy system people used to call all nickel based superalloys, and Inconel 718 is one such a good alloy among them. And it is having so many alloys, almost like 12 to 16 elements will be there in a given Inconel 718, but nickel will be very high, 52%. So that is the reason it is a nickel based superalloy like that we will call. High entropy alloy it is not like that, still it is very good. Why we want to take Inconel 718 one side and high austenitic stainless steel on other side to weld along with HEA? One side austenitic stainless steel, less nickel will be there, 18% chromium, 8% only nickel will be there. And compared to that, 20% of nickel in high entropy alloy. And other system we have taken Inconel 718 where nickel will be 52%, whereas high entropy alloy 20%. So to see this transitional joint variations also, we have chosen this systems. We have seen again that unmixed zone here, where again here also no doubt that good amount of BCC has formed. Otherwise, it is similar to the microstructural features which we can conventionally get from typical Inconel 718 weld fusion zones, such as formation of small lava space and NBC IDRs, interdigenic region precipitates, and gray platelets, carbides, NBC carbides, lava space. These are all very, very common in fusion zones of Inconel 718. Normally, Inconel 718 weld efficiency used to be something like 60% or so only. But here we could get relatively superior compared to that. Again, here also orientation imaging microscopy was done. This unmixed zone, one can clearly see this. This is unmixed zone. Then here HZ was clearly seen, and almost all grains were growing in 001 direction. This is epitaxial grown direction. That is evidence. So again, orientation imaging microscopy is also, we have analyzed so many things metallurgically. I just don't want to bore you with metallurgical aspects related to it. With this kind of gradual transition, it is supposed to give good properties in these microstructures. High angle boundaries and low angle boundaries, everything you can calculate. associated with this one. Okay, high entropy side HA weld fusion zone. See that grain size is observed almost 140 microns in weld fusion zone. Because of this, the epitaxial growth associated with that one, so long aspect ratio and very wider dendrites were developed, so that grain size associated with that one appear to be very high. And here also, similar to that earlier systems, we did not find any BCC system, only single phase FCC system. Again, caliphate approach, because we have to confirm that there are no other undesirable carbonates are forming. Yes, here also N23C6 kind of carbonates are not forming. But here the curve is slightly closer with some minor carbonates. So if you are not standardizing the welding process, you may end up with undesirable carbonates. So it's a cautious thing that we have to keep it. And here also elemental distribution is uniform. This many dips, many fluctuations and here and there at a particular intervals are associated with lave space formation in the weld fusion zone and Inconel 718 especially. Again, here also we have seen that dissimilar weld joint is comparable to that of HA, definitely. Then electron beam welding of high entropy Li with Inconel 718. Earlier combination also high entropy Li with Inconel 718, but that is GTA welding, and this is electron beam welding. And orientation imaging microscopy, here also on HA side it is showing 001 planar direction columnar growth, that is epitaxial growth. Very clearly it is observed and demonstrated. But fusion zone was very fine compared to GTA welding. See, the cellular structure size used to be very fine. And this finer structures, we know that always it is expected to give better properties. Elemental distribution is almost uniform. We can say that the uniformity associated with the system is comparable to that of the high entropy alloys. That is, say, aluminum 0.8 in the sense, almost closely maintaining with that one. Then cobalt compared to weld and this one in high entropy alloy, cobalt is depleted because diffusion will take place on high entropy alloy side, Inconel side. That's a very common thing because cobalt affinity towards nickel. Then chromium. Chromium is comparable value because chromium that side also will be there, this side also is there. And similarly, iron, nickel. In fact, fusion zone it is higher because Inconel 718 is also contributing good amount of nickel. It's a nickel based, higher nickel compared to high entropy alloy. So this will favor the formation of single phase FCC structure compared to other things. Except these lave phases, analysis associated with that one, especially in unmixed zone, the fineness is very disrupting in nature. If you are able to avoid this unmixed zone, probably you can avoid lave space. But some cases, this overall summary is if you are able to eliminate lave space in Inconel or Inconel related fusion zones, you will get superior properties. That's what we have seen here. Then EDS analysis with different features in a weld fusion zone. Here, niobium concentration was observed in fusion zone 1, fusion zone 2, and unmixed zone 1 and unmixed zone 2. So in both the cases, fusion zone and unmixed zone side locations, the niobium it is becoming rich. Niobium rich is advantageous, but unfortunately small amount of carbon which has arisen from the Inconel 718 started forming niobium carbides. Discrete niobium carbides are favorable. Continuous niobium carbides, network of continuously found niobium carbides are detrimental. So we have seen that niobium is distributed like in the line, but it is discrete. You can see patch through this SCM image. So that is the reason the property we got is higher strength. But as I said already, niobium carbide and lave space formation in the network, fusion zone property has ductility has come. Strength is relatively high because hard phase formation, but ductility is reduced because of that. Because wherever hard and strong phase combinations will be there. If the interface is weaker, there suddenly void will form. The moment void will form, it has touched UTS. Then afterwards it is dip only. If you postpone that one, probably the curve will go up like this. So if you are able to postpone your necking conditions or void formation situations in the microstructure, you can get high strength and activity combinations. That's what it is proved. Next, welding was done. Welding proved that around 80% of efficiency was observed. But the same thing we want to do through the selective laser welding, additive manufacturing. So in this also, we just don't want to do only high entropy alloy separately and say nickel-based superalloy separately, and we want to weld it. No. The layer itself we want to build as a bimetal, such as first say super inconel salmonite, I will build a particular thickness, then I will stop, I will drain the powder, and I will fill with high entropy alloy powder, then I will start melting with another thickness. Say 4 mm, if I am building 2 mm for high entropy alloy, 2 mm for inconel salmonite, or 2 mm for high entropy alloy, 2 mm for stainless steel. Like that, I started building. That is a novelty associated with, in fact, this additive manufacturing concept we have considered. And what is the selective laser melting? The moment if you want to just see, here bottom magazine will be there, which is moment associated with the bed. Powder will be there in the tank. The magazine portion will be smaller. So when one layer is done, magazine will come down, then roller will come and fill the powders. Then on that laser will move. Then again magazine will move a particular distance down. Then again cavity kind of thing will form, and that again this will roller will move and fill the powder. Then again laser will melt. So like that, based on laser movement, which is controlled by a AutoCAD diagram, the coordinates of the laser movement is can be controlled very efficiently to even less than micron precision. So you will get your final product very accurately. And if you are able to optimize your melting rate, melting overlapping nugget and other things, you can significantly reduce your porosity also. Normally for those who are working in additive manufacturing, they are very well versed of that one. You are supposed to use atomized powders only, so that only the powder flow and other things will be very comfortable. Further, there is a monopoly in SLM kind of thing or EB melting kind of thing. The supplier of the unit will say that no, you have to use my powders only, you should not use other powders. This is another reason that in India there is no high entropy alloy additive manufacturing was not done so far, whereas in other countries they have stopped listening to the supplier, so they have started doing their own atomized powders and started using that one, going out of the box and started doing this one. So these joints were made in Europe, Estonia, and brought on here. Only requirement in SLM is your powder particle size distribution should match. If you are taking 2 systems or 3 systems, it should match. Then only flow characteristics will be good. The particle packing will be good, or it is comparable from one system to other system. So that way, it is being done in such a way that I'm in a meeting. I'll call you later. I'm coming. Sorry for the disturbance. So this steel and high entropy alloy powder particle distribution should be same. So the atomized conditions were also taken like that and collected the 2 sets of powders. And the powder XRD was done. It is shown clearly that these powders are showing single phase FCC again. XRD will tell you whether it is FCC phase, single phase, or multi phase like that. Then again chemical composition. So in using SEM EDS itself we have done, and we could see that it is chemistry is almost matching whenever we are doing in number of locations and number of particles. So it is very clear that our chemistry associated with particles also very good. Okay, then optimization of printing parameters it was done, and when we have taken this material from a laser lower current to higher current to and exposure time lower to higher, we could get decent optimization, and there is a method to optimize SLM, and we have done using that one, and we have used even methods like Tabuchi and even ANFIS models were used for this purpose, which I am not projecting here. So we have identified SLM conditions where you will get very less defects associated with it. Then we have done vertical plane because the building plane will be like this. This is the horizontal plane and this is the vertical plane. One has to study the vertical and horizontal plane orientation because the grain orientation will change from top to bottom side. So vertical plane one orientation and horizontal plane another orientation is giving. Always vertical plane matches with that of the other elemental systems or powder systems, elemental powder system. That's what we have seen. Vertical plane peak intensity variations are matching with that of the atomized powder. Similarly, atomized powder of high entropy Li and the vertical plane of high entropy Li matches that one. Horizontal plane texture will vary. This is because of the texture associated with any additive manufacturing components. In the microstructures, you can see that porosity was reduced to less than 1%, which is a challenging thing to do it in additive manufacturing, but it is once it is optimized, it is nothing. You can do it comfortably. Then for doing tensile test, there is no standard yet evolved completely for doing tensile test of additive manufacturing components. So we decided, as suggested by other previous publications, the component was built in the form of a tensile sample and slightly polished, and we have tested that one. You could see almost very high strength and very good ductility combinations, 30 plus ductility, which is uncommon for any kind of additive manufacturing components because porosity is reduced. Hello? Okay. So we have extracted again miniature tensile specimens from this and sliced a number of things. If it is a base metal like this, if it is a bimetal, two elemental systems will be like this, and we have extracted like this, and we have tested. Microstructure at the interface, it is not forming any undesirable phases or any serious precipitates kind of thing, because powder, when you are doing that one, then once you have built 2 mm thickness, you have to empty the complete container and you have to fill the other powder. By the time thorough cleaning precautions are to be maintained so that the contamination will not be there. So that to verify that one, the interface was studied. In fact, interface used to be very strong. You can see this. You can feel this, how strong the interface is. And EBSD studies based on orientation imaging microscope, it clearly evidences that it is having very small region of interface that is also not too much deviated. Okay, so interface is really very good and intact interface, we'll call it as. And the elemental mapping what we have taken is showing that gradual variation from one end to other end. Only iron, you can see that yes, iron is very rich in this, iron is so low in this one, but compared to other iron, remaining all other things almost like a gradual variation. So this has evidences that there are no strong residual strains associated at the interface. So this is proved. Then yes, we have seen. Then hardness profile it is taken to see that any extremities associated with that one. Good deviations are there from 316 to HA, but it's a gradual variation. Yellow rich region to gradually green rich region. Like that it is changing. So no abrupt change. That has given us almost like same strength with only ductility variations. Then we have seen ductility variations also, wherever porosity is there, in that locations only it is being fractured. So what it suggests is, if you are able to do your additive manufacturing parameters optimization very precisely, so that if you are bringing porosity still down, strength and ductility can be matched with that of even base metal. That's what it says. So additive manufacturing is a potential tool not only for just making alloys, even for bimetals and multi-layers also. That is the summary associated with our study. Thank you. So with this, I just want to throw light on that the additive manufacturing of simple components only so far we are thinking, whereas we can make bimetals. Even afterwards, few samples we have done multi-layers also, alternative layers and multi-layers also. That has given, in fact, wonderful results, which I yet to be published, so I didn't project it here. In fact, bulletproof characteristics it started giving. So that is the reason I can say additive manufacturing is going to be a potential tool even for structural systems. Earlier, people used to use for for only biological systems or biomedical implant systems and so on. But nowadays it is moving towards more structural side. Once you start reducing your porosity and control your microstructure, you will make wonders out of this. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, participants, if you are having any specific question, kindly interact with our guests.
Yes. Any questions, please?
Yeah, participants, if you are having any doubts regarding welding and additive manufacturing, vestibular systems,
Else, if you are,
or else, they can contact you through mail, sir.
yeah, I'm typing in chat box
Yeah.
my Gmail ID. Okay. People can contact me over this Gmail ID.
ASPIATM13@gmail.com.
Yeah. So yeah, feel free to contact me for any doubt clarification or any suggestions, or even if you are suggesting in our work, yes, you are most welcome. We are ready to take up any suggestions. So because you people don't know that many of the intellectual ideas evolved from laboratory, from even BTech students, it has evolved more. So I respect each and every idea if it is coming from someone. Else, if you have any doubts, just feel free to contact me or my mail. Yes, definitely, I am ready to help you. Thank you all. If there are no questions on this one, I am stopping the share associated with that one. And thank you to
Yeah, thank
Dr.
you.
Shanmugh Sundaram for giving this opportunity, and thanks to management of
Sairam Institute of Technology.
yeah, so Sairam Institute of Technology, Chennai. Thanks for giving this
Yeah,
opportunity to
thank
impact
you.
young minds.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Prasad, sir, Dr. Sir
Yeah,
Prasad,
please.
sir. On the opposite Sairam Institute of Technology and the Department of Mechanical Engineering, I say to thank to our Dr. Sir Prasad came over here and delivered the expert talk for the welding of dissimilar materials. That is his recent research work. Thank you very much, sir. I think participants have got benefited through this presentation. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you one and all.
Thank you all. Thanks for your kind patience in listening and support.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm leaving. I have
Yeah,
some
thank you,
work.
Sorry for that, sir. You already
Yeah,
told.
yeah.
Okay,
Please,
thank you.
please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.